Hello, my name is Dr. Susan Berger, and I'm sharing with you from the East Coast of Pennsylvania today. This is the first in a 5-part video series that I call Love Your Body, It Believes Every Word You Say. And that's not just a sort of flippy title, because it really does. And by the end of this 5-part series, I'm going to share with you the reasons that our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our words all are felt and experienced by the body. They're not just in our brains like we used to think, oh, it's just all in my head. It was cliche maybe 20 years ago when people would start to think of this amazing little idea that, wow, there's like a mind-body connection. And that was such an understatement because we know that the mind and the body are an integrated whole. There's not just a little connection somewhere. It's all one, and one is always affecting the other all of the time. So I also get questions sometimes from people that somebody will say, well, I've taken such lousy care of myself, and I wonder if it's too late for me. I wonder if there's anything I can do. Is it really worth bothering? After all, I'm 65. After all, I'm 82. I had one gal that was saying she didn't know if it was worth it because, I'm 30. I was like, oh my goodness. So in very early ages, we accept these lesser levels of health at times when really there's an awful lot that we can do to raise our health and our vitality and our fun and our joy and our experience of our bodies and our lives. Also, and I'll be showing my age by saying this probably, it used to be the joke that when you had a new car, you drove it for a while, and when the ashtrays were dirty, you traded it in. Now, I don't know how many people actually were able to do that, but this is our vehicle. This body is our vehicle. This is what we have to live in while we're in this lifetime anyway. And sometimes we don't treat it as well as we do our cars. We take our cars in and we put good gas in it, and we get the car realigned and change the oil and get it inspected and do whatever it needs to keep it running. And too often we ignore our bodies. We wait until they're screaming at us, smacking us in the face, going, pay attention, pay attention. And then we wonder why we're not feeling so well. Again, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So in this series, this is what we're going to cover, and I hope to help you understand more fully why this is important. How do we know what's happening? How do we know about this connection, what's happening? And the good thing is that then I'll share with you some things that are effective in improving that communication that we have on ourselves. And after all, the most important relationship we have is with ourselves first, before any other. There's also a shift in thinking in that we used to say, well, I'm a human being, and every now and then I have this spiritual experience. Ooh. And again, we've come so far beyond that where again, I know a lot of you have probably heard this, we're spiritual beings. We're having a human experience, and this is the body that we get to live that in, and it reflects a lot about us. One of the best ways that I can describe to you how I see it came from my younger son, and he was maybe 4 or 5. And I don't remember having any of these discussions with him about any of this information. And one day we're riding in the car, and he says, Mommy, I think I know what happens when we die. I said, okay, Tyler, what do you think? And he says, well, I think when we're born, we get a body, and God's like this big energy in the sky. And I'm like, okay, I'm waiting to see what's going to come next. Well, God's like this big energy in the sky, and we get our body, we go off and we break off a piece of that energy, and it goes into our bodies. I'm like, wow. And then he says, Well, it's kind of like our batteries. And then when we die, it goes back. So after my mouth dropped out of this little wisdom that was coming out of this little boy, and he doesn't even remember saying that now, that was one of the best explanations in the simplest terms that I could share with you to shift the thinking of who we are and what our bodies are and what our purpose is here on this earth and how we can really maximize that. In the next week or so, because I'm going to keep these videos short, because I want you to be able to fit them into your day. So we're only going to touch on the tip of the iceberg, and in the next 4, we're going to go a little bit more in depth of some of the meat of the matter, what we're really finding happens in the body, some of the studies that were done, and it's amazingly fascinating. I can't read enough about this stuff in this day and age, and I like to try to simplify it, and because I need to think about it that way, and present it in a way that's really useful to apply in our daily lives in terms of really shifting and changing in ways that we might want to. So during this week or so, before your next video comes, you don't have to do anything, but what I'd like to suggest that you do is become more conscious. Pay attention to your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself from the time you get up to the time you go to bed? And catch yourself when you say something like, oh, I look like crap today, or, oh, I'm so fat, or, whatever it might be, I'm losing my hair. Oh, I mean, how many of us get up in the morning, we go into the bed and look in the mirror and just go, oh my God. That's not a good way to start your day. And some of you know Louise Hay. She started to shift in her life to simply saying, I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. It's not necessarily how she felt at the time, but that's how she started to change what some people call stinking thinking. And so I want you to, during the course of this week, think about what you're saying to yourself, how you're saying it, how you feel when you say it. Does it make you feel any better? And if it doesn't, why do we beat ourselves up? And how can we come to that point of understanding that our body's doing the best it can? How can we communicate with our bodies more effectively? And how can we listen to its messages? And all of this will actually be more applicable not only to yourself as time goes on, but also to other relationships around you, in families, and romantic relationships in any form, at work. Once we start to understand how we're thinking, we'll be able to understand others better as well. So during this week, take the time to do that if you'd like. We'll be back again next week to start again into some really cool stuff. The next video I think I'm going to call Don't Wear Ugly Panties. How's that for a title? And I look forward to spending this other time with you. Thanks for joining me tonight.